Good morning, everybody, and welcome. This is Lorraine Ball.
And Jennifer Denny.
And this morning, I'm going to get to pick Jennifer's brains because we are talking about an ad platform I hadn't heard much about, Taboola.
Yes, it's kind of my new toy.
Okay, so for those of us who don't live and breathe advertising the way that you do, which is cool, I'm glad somebody does, talk about Taboola.
Okay,
What is it for and how do you use it?
Yeah. So basically, Taboola is a form of native advertisement. It kind of falls into that category, or you could have it fall into pay-per-click. I've seen it both ways. You're probably already familiar with native advertisement because you do Facebook ads.
Mm-hmm.
And native advertisement is basically just advertisement that, is in between content.
Okay, so kind of the stuff that sort of looks like a post but isn't.
Right. And so where Taboola puts its advertisement is basically on written content that is throughout the internet. So, like, think of the Huffington Post or the NBC News or Business Insider, just to name a couple. At the bottom of those articles, you see related articles.
Oh,
And
yeah.
yeah, that's where Taboola ads are placed. Those are actually ads.
You know what? You start if you go down that rabbit hole, you begin to figure out that yes, those are ads. But so then my question is, if I'm using Taboola, can I target? Can I pick? And how fine tuned so that I make sure that my content ends up in places that are
Yes.
relevant.
Yeah, so that's one of my favorite things is, just like on Facebook type advertisement, and I'm kind of comparing it to that just because so many people are familiar with it. You can target contextually. That big fancy word just basically means if the article has to do with plumbing, I can make sure that my ad is there because I'm a plumber, and that makes sense. So they have over 100 different like ready-made segments as far as like targeting by contextual. You also can target by interest-based like targeting. So it's just hundreds and hundreds of categories that they already have, just like Facebook. The difference, and this is such a major difference, is it is not from third-party collection of information like Facebook has gathered their information.
It's based on the content and the publication. So you're going to a place where they already know their audience and they're talking to a particular audience, and you're putting relevant content there.
Well, that not just contextually, because you can actually just target by that somebody is interested. I'll give you a good example. I can target in Taboola that somebody has been to CVS and they regularly buy beauty products.
Oh.
Yeah, they have a huge amount of data partners. And so this is purchase data. Remember how we talked about a couple weeks ago, like, they're not going to have information on you. Oh, that's still out there. CVS and all these places are still selling your information.
Because the thing is that you have those little discount cards or things
Mhm.
on your key ring, and every time you
Yes.
swipe it,
Yes.
you're telling the store about you. And
Yes.
you've given permission. You're like, yes, keep track of what I buy so you can send me good coupons.
Yes, and there's hundreds of data partners. Some of them you might heard of, like Axiom or Adobe, or these are partners that have this data. And so Taboola doesn't use third parties. So let's say Google goes forward with this and gets rid of being able to add a pixel. This is an excellent source to handle that because they're using data that is not third party. Very
And
technical, but
yeah,
good.
yeah. So the Taboola kind of represents the coming shift in digital advertising, which is based in a way much more by buyer behavior. So my question, because I think this is great for consumer products,
Hmm. Hmm.
um, but if I'm a B2B marketer, is Taboola a good fit for me?
Um, it depends. I definitely would say get in there and see what their targeting is and what is available. It's not going to be where like maybe I can target by your job title,
Mm-hmm.
by your industry. Like that type of targeting is not in there.
Mm-hmm.
So, that's where maybe it's not going to hit the mark. But literally, I haven't even scratched the surface on the amount of targeting that's available in there that, it's plausible it would make sense, but it's probably more B2C for sure.
Mm-hmm. So because it's so much of that new data, or what I'm going to call non-Google and non-Facebook data, is really tied to buyer behavior.
Right, right. And they have all the typical like location all the way down to the zip code, browser, platform, mobile, desktop,
Mm-hmm.
operating system. And then they also actually do have a pixel, so you can still do the remarketing off your own website visitors.
Mm-hmm.
And you can also upload lists and you can do lookalikes. So you start to build your own audience of people. So excellent targeting overall.
Okay, so let's go to the thing that I think people are always curious about is cost, and how does it compare to a Facebook ad or a Google ad? And let's stay with a plumber because you used that example. I think that's a pretty, um, you know, uh, kind of a business that would advertise on all those platforms.
Yeah, yeah. So let's put it in perspective. A plumber cost per click is sometimes around, can get up to $30 to $40 a click
On Google.
on Google.
Yeah, absolutely. I've totally seen that.
Yes. And, on Facebook, you might be paying 3, 4, up to $6 a click there.
Hmm.
But
But it's a
then,
less qualified audience.
yes, because you have to consider that people are not necessarily needing a plumber. You're just brand awareness is what you're
Mhm.
doing when you're doing Facebook advertisement. Native is going to be the same thing. So for like a plumber, if they've written all this content about how to handle this situation and that situation, and they can contextually kind of put themselves on like, let's say a DIY or, that type of content, they're going to pay sometimes as little as 50 cents. Remember the old days?
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, and I've probably seen up to like $2 up until this point, so it's not as expensive, and that's just because Taboola and Outbrain is another one, is not as popular as Facebook, Google, so don't go where everybody else is going. Here's a brand new place that you could be going.
Awesome. That is great. Any other last tip on Taboola?
Yeah, just how the algorithm really works is, they are really considering what your click through rate is and your cost per click. And so, you have two options. You basically have a headline and a picture. And so, you need to optimize all of that to make sure people do actually click through because you don't pay if somebody just, sees the article. It's
Mhm.
only if somebody clicks through. So it's only driving, traffic in.
So the other thing, though, is as you said, though, you said the picture and
Headline.
the headline, but you've got to be linking to content. So really, if you're going to do Taboola, what I'm gathering is you have to have the content on your website, or
Yes.
Taboola won't work.
No, yeah, that's exactly right. Like this isn't a like place an ad out like you might on Facebook, like and just lead to the homepage. You need to have good quality content. So, hence why we've talked about you need content.
Absolutely. Well, Jennifer, this is great. I'm going to suggest anybody, if you guys are curious about Taboola, if you get in and kick the tires and decide this is really great, but I don't want to do it, talk to Jennifer
I
at
can do that.
elevatedmarketing.solutions.
Yeah, and definitely check out the digital toolbox. Lots of great information in there if you're trying to learn marketing yourself.
Awesome. All right, guys, we'll be back next week.
All right, take care.
Bye now.